Most people see a billionaire's face on a bucket, but they don't see the man who spent 65 years failing, sleeping in his car, and hearing no over 1,000 times before he finally showed the world that it's never too late to win. Welcome to Truthful. If you're liking what you see, let me know in the comments. And now, let's dive into the story. The face on that iconic red and white bucket isn't just some corporate mascot dreamed up in a boardroom. That's Colonel Harland Sanders, and his life was a straight-up battlefield. Most people spend their 20s or 30s trying to make it. But for Harland, the breakthrough didn't even sniff his doorstep until he was 65 years old, a time when most folks are picking out a rocking chair. His journey started back on September 9th, 1890, on a tiny, dirt-poor farm near Henryville, Indiana. But the universe didn't waste any time throwing him into the deep end. When he was just 6, his dad met a tragic end, vanishing into the void and leaving a massive hole in the family. With his mom working her tail off at a canning factory just to put bread on the table, little Harland became the man of the house at an age when most kids are still learning to tie their shoes. By age 7, he was a literal master of the kitchen, whipping up bread and vegetables like a pro, because if he didn't cook, his siblings didn't eat. But man, the grind was just beginning. At 10, he landed his first real gig feeding farm animals. But being a kid, he lacked that laser focus, and he got the boot. Then, at 12, his mom remarried, and that's when things got really dark. His stepdad was a total nightmare who couldn't stand the sight of the kids, sparking toxic brawls until Harland was basically exiled from his own home. He moved in with relatives, working a brutal schedule, up at 6 a.m. to feed livestock, dragging himself to school, and then shucking corn until the stars came out. Eventually, school kicked him to the curb because he just couldn't wrap his head around algebra. So at 16, he lied through his teeth about his age and joined the US Army. He thought he'd finally found a home. But once the military sniffed out his real age a year later, they gave him a dishonorable discharge and sent him packing. The next few decades were a chaotic blur of what the hell am I doing with my life kind of energy. Harland was a straight-up hustler, jumping from one job to the next like a man possessed. He was a streetcar conductor, a railroad fireman, an insurance salesman, a lawyer, and even a steamboat operator. He'd get fired, quit, or the company would go bust. It was a never-ending cycle of failure. He even spent time fixing tires, but nothing stuck. It got so rocky that his wife, Josephine, finally had enough of the broke life and took the kids, leaving him alone in the shadows. Finally, at age 40, he caught a tiny break running a gas station in Kentucky. He realized that if he treated customers like royalty, they'd keep coming back, and suddenly his sales tripled. But just when he started to taste success, the Great Depression hit like a freight train. The economy tanked, and the station was snatched away. Most men would have folded right there, but Harland was built different. Shell Oil saw his grit and gave him another shot at a highway station in 1930. He didn't just pump gas. He started cooking for hungry travelers in his tiny living room, serving up country ham on a single dining table. His fried chicken became such a local legend that he opened a full-on restaurant for 142 people. But there was a massive problem. Pan-frying that chicken took 30 minutes, and customers were getting restless. To fix it, he pioneered a dangerous trick: frying chicken in a pressure cooker. It was a gamble that could have blown up in his face, but it worked, dropping the cook time to just 8 minutes. He was finally winning, even earning the Colonel title from the governor. But then World War II happened, gas was rationed, travelers vanished, and in 1942, he had to lock the doors on his dream once again. After the war, he tried to rebuild, but life had one last middle finger waiting for him. A new highway project bypassed his restaurant completely, wiping out 90% of his traffic overnight. At 65, he was officially broke, living on a measly $105 Social Security check. But instead of giving up, Harland and his second wife, Claudia, packed a pressure cooker and a bag of secret spices into a beat-up car and hit the road. He slept in the back of that car for months, visiting thousands of restaurants, cooking his chicken for owners, and asking for just 4 cents for every bird they sold. He heard no exactly 1,009 times. Think about that. Over 1,000 rejections when you're a senior citizen. But he kept pushing until he hit 600 franchises. In 1964, he finally cashed out for $2 million, but the corporate world was cold. They started cutting corners on his recipe for profit. The Colonel was so furious he sued his own former company, opening a new restaurant under his wife. S name, just to show them how real chicken is made. He fought for his legacy, his quality, and his name until he finally vanished into the void in 1980 at age 90. It's a wild, cinematic reminder that it's never too late to start, and that the secret recipe for success is not just 11 herbs and spices. It is the absolute, unbreakable will to never ever quit. So, the next time you see that white-bearded man smiling on a red bucket, remember, that's not just a logo. That's a man who looked at 1,009 rejections and simply refused to blink. Harland Sanders proved that your age, your bank balance, and your past failures don't define your finish line. Your grit does. It's never too late to start, and it's never too late to win. If this story hit home for you, or if you think someone needs a reminder to keep pushing, hit that like button and share this video. It really helps the channel out. And if you're new here, join the family by hitting subscribe and turning on those notifications so you never miss another deep dive into history, to S most incredible masterminds. What's the one goal you're refusing to give up on? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one. Thanks for watching. Stay hungry for success. And I'll catch you in the next one.